Do you guys know that back in 1991, almost 29 years ago, Marvel predicted the coronavirus with the first appearance of a villain called the birth of a terrifying new villain called Corona. And if you search on eBay with Spectacular Spider-Man 176 Corona, you see a whole list of Corona Spectacular Spider-Man comics is selling like hotcakes. Now, this is a story all about how Corona turned the world upside down. As it starts out in the story, people in New York are falling on the street. Like this woman collapsing. And as you know it, she has problems breathing. And also burning up with a fever. Definitely symptoms of the coronavirus. So as Spider-Man swings throughout New York, tries to find what is going on, he meets up with his partner and goes to the lab. Now, as they are discussing on the next experiment, it looks like a firefight is going on where these hired guards are fighting somebody, a mysterious figure. Well, as it turns out, there is this woman in this Iron Man looking costume, and her name is, and now that this little dance is over, tells Cedric that Corona is here to see him. So we have a villain right here, and it looks like one of the powers against her, one of the cures, I guess, is an energy retardant foam. As you can see, the guards uses it on her, and apparently a rear naked choke also works. So she's temporarily stunned. So as they got a hold of her, of course Spider-Man trying to fight for her life, as him being all proper and stuff, she gets away and escapes eventually. Now, as the story goes, Corona's alter ego is Dagny Forrester. She happens to be the sister of the rich guy who owns a science lab, and she was taking part into this experiment. That's how she became Corona. So she explains herself to Spider-Man. Something is wrong with her, and she tries to escape. I think she has an illness herself. So Spider-Man goes back home. Mary Jane is working out, but apparently she falls all of a sudden due to some illness. As she's taken to the hospital, the doctor says she has a fever. See that same raging fever that's going throughout Soho district. So Peter Parker is trying to find a cure, talking to doctors and stuff, checking out on Mary Jane. So we are back to action as Corona is spotted. Is that the Twin Towers or something? And Corona is back to attacking the Foundation. As it turns out, they've both been lying. Her brother was secretly forming these chemicals, and it got into the water, drinking water. So we have to be careful of that. As Spider-Man fights Corona, he's trying to get explanation on what is going on, who to believe, while Corona is trying to get access to the antidote to cure herself of the illness. But of course that, the people of New York also needs the cure. So the battle goes back and forth. She's going all postal and sick. And she's trying to get the antidote herself. But unfortunately, she blows up the vial and it gets all drained into the sewer. And all goes hell, all goes to hell as she turns into a monster. So that's it. That's Corona. So the big question remains, will Corona defeat the Marvel Universe?